What's up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, and in this video I show you and I answer a question someone asked, which is how do you figure out what your shipping costs and what your profit will be for Walmart two-step drop shipping? How do you figure all that complicated stuff out? And I gotta be honest with you, I'm not sure. Just kidding. Obviously, I know how to do this, and I'm going to show you exactly how I figure it out, as well as give you a couple of tips and tricks that will certainly help you and certainly show you how much money there still is to be made with Walmart two-step dropshipping. It's the easiest, safest way to dropship on the planet. So I am super fired up for this video. I hope you're fired up. Let's do this. All right, so we're about to go on my screen share, but before we jump into that, I just want to remind you that if you want to talk about how to get a completely done for you automated store via Walmart dropshipping, everything done for you from A to Z, my email is below. Reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to jump on a call with you. And or if you're looking to do it yourself, then obviously my email is still below. So either way, it's down below just so that you have some ideas with the cost associated as well as what it takes to make one of these work. But let's jump into the topic. And someone asked this question. I can't find the question again. I know I saw it on my phone and I figure I'd take the time to make a video. They were pretty persistent on me making a video, so at least we'll have one view on this video. That's obviously never important to me how many views. What is important is that you guys are informed about what I feel is the best dropshipping system out there, mainly from the perspective of people are going to get what they buy and they're going to get it in a timely manner, and it's not going to come from China. Instead, it's going to come from Amazon, but people just won't know that it's coming from Amazon. So it truly provides a great arbitrage opportunity for you, the entrepreneur, who's just willing to be able to go out there and find those products or find the employees who will find the products for you. So with that being said, the question more or less was, how do you determine if a product is going to be profitable considering all the additional costs that you do incur as a result of two-step dropshipping? So before I even answer that, let's talk about those additional costs and what they are. That way you more or less have an idea of what to add to the overall bottom line. The first cost is repackaging. So as I've mentioned in other videos, the easiest and cheapest way to repackage products is through the use of poly bags. Now, one thing that you will notice once you're getting enough of these packages coming to your house is that Amazon already themselves, about 75% of their packages are poly bag. Besides that, they do have a couple of core boxes, and obviously when they're shipping larger than usual boxes or multiple products, they do use a big box. But the reality is, if you're ordering one-off products, they're all pretty small. So Amazon does utilize the poly bag as well as the bubble mailer. So those are two essentials that you're going to have in your warehouse. Included with that, you'll have to have tape, a tape gun, a measuring scale, and pretty much a label maker. We have, I think it's called like a Rolo. I'm not even know if I'm pronouncing that right. It sounds like a roly-poly. We've got a roly-poly. There's plenty of those in our warehouse. We're well aware that we're roly-polies, but we're happy with it. So we use the roly-poly and the tape gun. That works real well. Second thing is you will have to have some boxes on hand. Since we're focusing primarily with packages that are under 2 pounds, most of our boxes cost well under $1. Now, I have seen third-party warehouses that do charge a standard of $1 per box, and that's pretty much on point considering the cost of boxes nowadays. But most of the boxes, again, will be very small. Therefore, they will be rather cheap. So that's one thing to consider. Our poly bags typically vary in price, but we pretty much average about 20 cents per poly bag to repackage each of the items that comes in from Amazon. The other cost that you do have to associate with this, even though it's kind of hard to put a value on the cost, but I'll kind of more or less explain how we do it, is the cost of repackaging it based on labor. And so we do have a guy in-house that does that. He gets paid about anywhere between $12 and $15 an hour, and on average does about 20 to 30 packages. So all in all, we average about 50 to 60 cents per unit in what it actually costs us labor-wise to have somebody in there repackaging that. Okay, so the next cost that we do think about, and then we'll jump into the answering and tackling the question, is how much it's going to cost to ship from our location to any other location. And the best way to think about that is it just depends on your location as a whole, as well as in general, what will happen is it'll average itself out. Meaning if you're in Miami, say like I am, then obviously shipping to any part of the east side of the country is going to be fairly cheap. However, shipping all the way to the west side of the country is going to be rather a bit more expensive than it should be, and it also depends on the weight. But if you're in the centralized location somewhere like and this goes to show how shitty I am at geography. In North Carolina, we have another location in North Carolina. That's a little bit more west, but it's pretty much even across the board if you're shipping from North Carolina, whether it goes to California or whether it goes to Seattle or whether it goes to New York. It's almost the same price just because of its central location. So all in all, it will average itself out over the course of time. So mainly you're looking at products that just do turn some kind of margins, and then that cost, the shipping cost, will average itself out. As long as you're not shipping from a place like Hawaii or Puerto Rico, you should be good. All right, so with that in mind, how do we determine if it's going to be profitable? Well, first things first, we are constantly testing things out and seeing if they'll work or not. So an example of that would be at the present time, we are testing out different shipping templates. So what that basically means is that a lot of the products that we're offering at the present time, we are testing out charging a fee for shipping to the customer. And that seems to be working pretty decent with some stores, but also not with other stores. So don't be afraid to test things out. If you're running this store for yourself, then it's obviously a lot easier than if you do have to explain this to a client, because it could mean crickets on some clients' accounts. And that's what we're basically seeing with our test right now. Some stores have taken off and are still getting orders despite the fact that there is a shipping cost, but there are other stores that are not, and there's complete crickets. And it's sort of just hoping that the customer trusts in your overall process and that over the scope of time, they will start to see sales. However, it's essential to keep testing and trying to figure out the best way to maximize profits for all parties involved. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The biggest and most important rule to follow here is, as a rule of thumb, try and focus on products that are all under 2 pounds. And the reason for that is just run the math. So you can do this by going to ShipStation, and I showed this in another video, how you can play around with the locations and then just enter the different size of packages so that you get an overall idea of what it will cost you to ship things. And you'll notice that if you stick to under 2 pounds, the cost of shipping packages will vary anywhere from about $4.33 all the way up to about $10.90. So that kind of gives you an idea of more or less what you're looking at on the lower side of things as well as on the expensive side of things. But in general, the average cost overall is about anywhere between $6 and $7 for reshipping to the customer. And then finally, when you find a packet of products that work good, and what I mean by that is any one particular niche, then try and scale out by adding more products from different manufacturers based off of that particular batch of products. So I'll give you an example, and this is something that I wouldn't list just because of the weight of each of these products, but we have tested this out and it hasn't worked. And it's stuff like toilet bowl cleaners. So I'm talking about Lysol in a bottle, the thing that you squirt to clean your toilet bowl. Those usually weigh about 2.5 pounds. And so they're a little bit more expensive to ship, and they also have to be shipped by ground because of the fact that they are potentially flammable. So if that particular product worked and all the numbers work for it, then you would look to scale out by adding more toilet bowl cleaning products from other manufacturers, just because you know that that product already works in general. So always look to scale out depending on the type of product, and look to add other products that are from different manufacturers, but they're in the same niche. So essentially they weigh about the exact same. Okay, so let's go into a sample spreadsheet and kind of show you guys how we figure this out and how sometimes we will miss the mark. This is a brand new store, and this happens to be a store that's doing pretty good, considering that on this store, even though we don't have it marked yet, but we are charging an additional fee for shipping, and we haven't added a column here yet for the 2-step or the shipping charge that we're getting from ShipStation. But what we can assume is that on average, most of these will be about $6.50. So you can see that some of these might not be profitable. So this is the same product. We've seen it fail now 3 times. So we'll double check that at the end of the week. And if it just doesn't work out, then we'll just X that from our batch of products and our list that we have and maintain. But even though we have a standard list of products that can work well in any store that we decide to put them in, we obviously limit the number of products that we put in each of our individual stores or our client stores, and we look to constantly be sourcing for brand new products. So essentially these for $6.27 are probably not going to work unless the shipping on these, which is possible, is about $4, and they're about $2 worth of profit. And you'll see that the ROI is quite high on most of these, just because the fact that the shipping hasn't been added yet. And if you guys like this video, what I can do is next week I can add the shipping column in, and when I film next time, you can see how much the ROI ends up being. And you're gonna notice that it's gonna vary anywhere between 20 and 23%. Obviously, there's going to be those products that miss the mark, so they're gonna be negative ROI, and those are just the products that we eliminate pretty quickly. Now, the only other thing that I am leaving out here is the fact that this account, because it's brand new, is not yet tax exempt. So when we do tax exempt it, that's a whole additional 8%. So that's something to keep in mind. So even when you see numbers that are at 12%, that's still going to be at the 20% mark eventually. And that will be when we do add that additional column for shipping. So all in all, you'll see in general, it's still doing pretty darn good considering that it's a brand new store. A lot has happened and we're trying to figure out some of these brand new products if they're going to work or not. However, as I said before, since we started testing out the shipping template things, there are some stores that have seen 0 sales. So are we concerned yet? Not at all. And the reason for that is it's just a test. And what we'll eventually do is switch it over to what's worked in the other stores. And these stores will remain open for a very long time as long as we're able to maintain metrics, which we should be able to considering this is Walmart two-step, which is the safest bet for dropshipping, hands down. So all in all, that's a quick wrap up of how we determine what it's going to cost us and if it's going to be profitable or not, just so that you guys can get an idea of some of the costs associated with this side hustle, which happens to be my main side hustle and my favorite one. But let me know in the comments below what else you would like to see. And remember, my email is below in case you do want to have a talk about full-on automation from A to Z and or just doing this yourself. Peace out.